Welcome to the Opinionated Geek podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Hanna. Doing stuff a little bit different today. I don't have the chat up. Uh, last podcast, which it kind of sucks because because I don't have a whole lot of followers on Twitch. I would like to interact with people, but it pauses the podcast too much, and I just don't have it up anymore. Currently, because I had just had to pause way too many times last podcast. It's not that I don't like to do that, but I don't mind it if I'm doing a video game stream. But if I have to pause too much, then that requires on the audio version editing more, and then on the YouTube version, since I don't have a chat showing, they can't see on what's being asked and whatnot. So I don't have it up anymore, and that's just something I'm just gonna have to deal with. If people want to get mad that I don't have the chat up, then oh well, it is what it is. But this is going to be primarily a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. So yeah. All right. I guess we'll just basically just get started. So, I basically did my first dungeon master session on Saturday. I'm going to be honest. I was completely unprepared. I I basically had a freaking 2 or 3 months to prepare for this, and in the end, just like with school, I had nothing. I did read a little bit and whatnot, but in the grand scheme of things, when it got down to it, I didn't know what to prepare, so I didn't prepare anything really, because it's a very it's a very big sandboxy thing. Would I have had stuff prepared if things went a little bit differently? Maybe. But what happened was what I was going to do is Thursday and Friday, I was going to really get into it. Thursday rolls around. I'm like, well, I got Friday, so I'm just like, I'll just do it Friday. So what happens? The people that host the game, they went ahead and said, "Hey, why don't you come over Friday after work, and we can set up the computers and stuff and see if everything goes smoothly." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do that." So then Friday, I really didn't have anything. I was attempting to do a little bit of stuff, but not a whole lot happened. So in the end, I winged the whole thing. From 2 o'clock till 10:30 at night. Winged the whole thing. There was a bit of pauses here and there, but I was pretty much blown away at how well I did do. And it seemed everybody had laughs and stuff, so everything seemed to kind of went okay. So it really got me in the mood, though, really in the mood. So even though did a completely unprepared thing, it turned out fairly well, and I was amazed at how quick I was able to bring up random encounters. Because, like I said last week, I think I said it last week, I bought a companion guide to Tomb of Annihilation, which essentially gave you, well, the main thing that I really cared about was it gave you 30 days in the jungle, step by step scenarios. So, because that's basically going to be the thing that's going to kick you in the butt. If you can't keep the daily stuff interesting, the players are going to just kind of get bored real quick. And even though we didn't do a whole lot, we didn't really get into the nitty gritty of it, we did get to do some encounters and whatnot, but it really was I knocked the I knocked two characters out, uh, two different encounters. So I got a little bit nervous there, but I always it's a little bit different when you're the player. It's like, oh, I'm knocked out. This is somebody will get to me. But when you're the dungeon master and you're the one doing the knocking out, you start to get a little bit nervous and a little bit paranoid. Especially with this campaign, we just started it, and you don't want a character to die immediately. And in this campaign, once they're dead, they're dead. So I'm going to have to watch what I say maybe in the future because I'm not sure if he still listens to it. But my one friend who we used to play D&D with, uh, he hasn't been able to have time to play. But apparently, the one guy apparently asked about possibly him coming back, and I'm like, I'm cool with it. I know I wish everybody didn't leave to begin with, but I know people have their schedules and their time and all that stuff. But yes, but so far, we've lost three members. Well, yeah, four technically. One was a couple. And then we lost one due to scheduling, and I guess the other one's due to scheduling. I don't know. He comments every once in a while on my Facebook, but I mean, we literally invite him to everything, and he just never shows up. So I'm not sure if there is technically a rift in our relationships as a group and him, and I don't know. But I really liked him a lot. But I guess we're not going to ever see him again. He's actually even joined his own game and stuff like that. But oh well, it is what it is. Uh, but yeah, so if the other guy starts playing, then I gotta watch what I talk about on this podcast due to spoilers for him. But currently, there is no spoilers that I need to worry about as of right now. But let let's put it this way. This really kicked me in the butt. I kind of know now what I need to prepare for, what I need to do, and all that stuff. Some people might say, well, you kind of should have known to begin with. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. But, it, for me, I need to get a, I guess, a passion to do something. And doing this really put a fire under my butt. In fact, yesterday, I already put 4 encounters into the software. So all I got to do is find maps for those. I'm going to have to make some of the maps in Arkenforge. But overall, they're all done. Treasure is done. But what's really starting to scare me a little bit is with my encounters with the companion to Tomb of Annihilation. It's just like I thought it was just go down the thing. It says you what to do each day. Tells you what's going to happen each day. I should have thought about this, but most games are probably going to constitute of you having at least 4 players, maybe 5. We have 6 characters, 3 players, but 6 characters, and I think the 6 characters is really throwing stuff off. But so that's another thing that I need to plan ahead for. I'm starting to understand what CR is and how to make an encounter be challenging for the players. So the first playthrough, our little session, it was a they went straight for let's get a canoe and let's go down the river. Now the companion, everything is based off of being in the jungle and not going down the river. So everything's like meant for this. The descriptions and stuff are meant for like on land. So then I needed to get a little creative. In fact, I actually messed up one time, and there's a supposed to be it's called Brachiosaur or Brontosaur Lake, and you basically come across a lake, and you have a whole bunch of Brachiosauruses, and it was hilarious because I'm like, and you come to a lake, and they're like, down a river. And I'm like, yeah, it like expands out into like a big lake, and then it gets narrower again on the other side. So I was completely BSing just because I made a complete mistake because I was doing this on the fly, and I should have had descriptions planned exactly for this. So I completely messed that up, but they kind of rolled with it. So then right after that was like a big kind of a big thing. At least I thought it was big. There were supposed to be 20 zombies. So I'm like, well, they're on the river, so I guess I'm just gonna say it's shallow right at this area. So I'm just gonna have them say, that it's shallow and the zombies are actually in the water, so they have to cross the zombies no matter what. Or they can go around through the jungle. But in the description of the thing, it's like it's a thick area, and then they have to move, uh, at half speed, and then of course the best option in theory with the challenge rating or whatever, according to a normal party, but our party wasn't normal; it was very fairly large, 6 people compared to 4 people, was to take the Brachiosauruses and cause them to stampede and just run the zombies over. So, what did my group do? And even though it was still 6 people, I was still blown away that they're like, let's attack them. So 6 versus 20. Yes, they're zombies, but being a DM for the first time, I don't know what's tough, what's not tough, and you know, I'm obviously starting to learn now. But zombies apparently are not tough at all because they were able to take care of the zombies, most of them, before they even got to them. Also, they were in the water, so they're moving a little bit slower, so that helped. Nonetheless, they, took them out fairly easy. And then and this is, I guess, why you should plan ahead, because it might seem a little daunting and boring, because you had that session, which is zombies. Then you had a group of lizard flying creatures that are called terrafolk, but they're referenced as terror folk, like for short, like a little nickname. So they had to deal with 2 of those. Now those guys were tough. Those guys are the ones that actually knocked one of my players out. And then, of course, I had another zombie situation when they camped one night, which, again, there was only 4 zombies that time, so they had no problem. But I did make sure that they played the fact that the people on the watch would have had armor on. The people that weren't on the watch at the time, they wouldn't have had armor on. So, yeah. But they still took him out rather easily. So, I should have added more or added other different types of undead instead of just the zombie. And then, what you call it? For the next and final one that I think I only did 4. Yeah, it was just more terrafolk. So, in the grand scheme of things, the session was kind of, I guess, kind of boring because zombie terrafolk. But that's the way the companion had it, so that's kind of the way I was doing it. But oh yeah, and the second terrafolk, I knocked out another one of my players. So the terrafolk are definitely a challenge, but I'm a little bit worried now, and I know I can I can give the players hints about what to do, but the fact of the matter is they had such an easy time with the zombies. I mean, I would have very at level 1, I would easily said maybe we shouldn't take on 20 zombies as a player, but they didn't even second guess it. They were just like, "Let's go." But my next uh, session, one of the first things I have set up that makes me a little nervous is they're going to see something shiny in the jungle, like something like giving off light, and it catches their eye in between, going down the river between the trees and whatnot. If they decide to investigate, what they'll find is that inside of a dead T Rex who has been decaying and obviously been eaten a little bit, because you can actually see inside of his stomach, there is a dead body that has a pouch on it that has 80 gold, and then a ring that is emitting light. So that's where the shiningness comes from, and it has a little inscription on it where you can turn it on and off. And so that would be their first magic item that they would get. The ticket is, though, that you try to use Mage Hand and it's just too tight on the person's body that you can't get the ring off. So you literally need to physically remove it, because the Mage Hand's it can do light tasks but not heavy, So you need to actually go inside the T-Rex's stomach in order to get the ring. Once that happens, then the T-Rex starts to get up and kind of wake up, even though it's already awake because it's a zombie. So it's a zombie T-Rex. So they have, zombie T-Rexes in this game. And this thing is a CR9, and it's over, I forget how many, I think it's a couple thousand worth of experience. Basically, it's way too tough. I mean, it could easily demolish these guys. But the idea is, for the most part, you can easily hide from this T-Rex. So as long as they don't stick around, they shouldn't have any issues with it, and they should be able to get some magic items and some gold. But I have this feeling that, luckily we have a ranger, so I can have him do a knowledge nature check. Granted, it's not a living, real T-Rex. He should know, knowledge-wise, if he makes the roll correctly, that even probably in this state, you shouldn't probably mess him with it, because a T-Rex is a very powerful beast, at least for their level. And then, of course, another thing that I introduced them to, which, because I was completely unprepared, was there's a guy named Artist Simber, and one of the last things you got to introduce him in my session, my first session, and I didn't know what the heck the character was like, so I just started going off the cuff on how I felt like he would be. I didn't know anything about the character whatsoever. So what I did is like, he's using this ring a lot, so he's got a magic ring. So right off the bat, I'm just like, is this guy powerful, or is he not powerful, or is the ring the only thing that makes him powerful? I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the character act like Gilderoy Lockhart from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, where, for the most part, he's just a full of BS, and the only thing that makes him even powerful is this ring, but he's not really powerful and all. So today at lunch, I'm reading through the book, and I'm like, let's check who this Artist Simba really is and his personality and stuff. Lo and behold, he's a really cool guy, and actually he's going to help the characters out throughout the campaign. So I can't, I made him a kind of a dick, and now I need to maybe dial back his ego somehow because he's basically looking for his wife in the game, and the players are looking for another city, a secret, a hidden city that the artist Simber hasn't been to yet. But artist Simber has a thing where he's going to find his wife whether he likes it or not, and he needs to find a special location that will help find his wife and possibly even bring her back from the dead if they're dead. And in this game, you can't bring anybody back from the dead. So this person, I do know this from reading it. This person does bring people back from the dead, but it basically turns them into an undead thing. It's not really 100%. So I need to dial back his ego. So basically, he's got to, I guess, suck it up and kind of say, "Look, I come across as like I don't need anybody's help, but the reality is I need to find this person, and I'm in hopes of if your group can help me, and maybe I can help you in the future type of thing." Because that also branches onto another path that gives them an actual location. Because right now we're just doing random encounters. I want to go to one of the main set locations where there's actually like battle maps and stuff like that, where there's actually some meat to the story, and artist's story can get me there. But the again, the companion to the thing is all about being in the jungle and not in the river. So they got maybe 4 or 5 more days to get to the end of the river before they actually have to get out because it's the end of the river. But until then, I'm doing this companion thing, and I'm just I'm going through the motions of the daily stuff. And one of the things is artist Simber, for one of the days, he's supposed to bust through the jungle, hightailing it, and lo and behold, he's being chased by a T-Rex. And of course, you're then supposed to go, the T-Rex is chasing you, so you're supposed to, run along with him and, try to outpace this T-Rex. But they're in the river. So what I'm going to do is probably have a little comedic situation where you'll hear the branches and stuff breaking and stuff, off to your side and behind you, and all of a sudden you'll hear, like a loud like scream, and then all of a sudden you just see artists just tailing it through the jungle as a T-Rex is chasing him, and my player's just like, well, yep, that's a T-Rex chasing artists. So I'm probably going to just have fun with it, and then there's a yeah, so it's actually kind of really cool, and I'm really starting to get into it because I'm like I'm one of the encounters I set up. It was going to have like I think 5 zombies for one of the next one. I'm like, no, I'm not. If I'm going to have zombies, I need to make this a challenge, and I need to have something else. So I double checked to make sure that skeletons were in line with this world, and they were. So I'm like, okay, what can we do? I was like, let's do a minotaur skeleton. They have a minotaur skeleton, and then I look at the stats that it has, and basically, it has an option to like gore somebody, and that's basically instant death for any of my characters if they manage to get gored. So I'm like, I can't do that. Let's back it up. So the CR rating is kind of like a guide. It's not a definite. So if you are a complete dick, you could throw the Minotaur in there, and I'm like, if your character dies, your character dies. That's just it. But I don't want to be like that. I want to be a DM that challenges but not looking to kill somebody. Because again, I I'm trying to be a little bit more on the narrative side and not so much on the let's kill stuff side of D&D. And it's going to be a learning process, but you know, you want stuff to be challenging, but you don't want it to kill everybody. So I was like, well, the Minotaur's not going to work. Even if I just put one in there, it's not going to work. Uh, so I think those are slightly more powerful than the skeletons, but you know, I was like that special power. I don't want to have to worry about that and killing my players. I at least want to give them a little bit of a chance before I start to like really, you know, possibly hit into them. So I put some skeletons in there, and I put like I think 5 in there, and then with the also with the zombies, and then they'll get a charm. So that would be like their second magic item. The charm's a little bit weird because it's not a. It doesn't seem like a physical item. Like when you like go to the magic items and you like search for charms, you can't like you can't grab it and like drag it into it like it's an actual physical thing. Even though if you ask me, a charm is essentially like a little bag with like herbs and stuff in it. As at least that's the way I feel like a charm should be. And you know, it's got healing properties or whatever. So like shaman stuff. But they don't have it like that, so I had to custom make a little charm to actually give to them, and that allows them to do like some spells that doesn't cost them any uh components or anything like that. Even if you can't cast a spell, this allows you to cast a spell. But yeah, so right off the bat, like after that weekend and I got home, I already started making a whole lot of encounters. Started reading a lot more, so it's definitely got me in the mood. It makes me. I almost think I might like this better than being a player because it gets my creative juices flowing, and I get to control the way the story's going to kind of go. Obviously, you can't control it too much because the players are going to do what they want to do, just like killing 20 zombies when I thought they probably couldn't, but I was completely wrong. So that's kind of like my little intro to my first D&D session, but I'm very happy it went well, and it's even going to be better the next time we meet up, which we're doing it every other week, because I'm like, even though I probably could do every week because I like my personal time, so I usually have quite a bit. Uh, I just want to make sure that until I, get everything moving, uh, it'll be much better. So I at least have a idea of how the players are gonna interact with the world now, and what I need to prep for. So it should be a lot more funner, and I should be a lot more prepared next time around. But I'm so happy. Fantasy Grounds worked perfectly. Roll20 was a complete mess. Again, the problem with Roll20 is it uses a browser, so it's a browser platform, and everything is based on everything's server side. The interface is server side. The maps are server side. Everything's server side. It's kind of it's cool, but not because you have to have at least decent quality computers, and that's not what they have. I mean, even if I could bring my desktop over to their house, I'm sure I wouldn't have any problems with Roll20. But every they got basically just got like, well, everybody's got some crappy laptops here that we don't use anymore, so let's use that. It was a complete nightmare. In fact, we even did a old desktop without a case or anything. It was just naked, and we put that up there in hopes it would actually make it a little better. It did make it a little bit better, but it was still a complete mess. So with Fantasy Grounds is not a cheap program. not a cheap program at all. Uh, but Fantasy Grounds in the long run is cheaper than Roll20. Roll20 for the most part, unless you make everything yourself, you need to put money into it. If you want some of the features that are kind of cool with Roll20, you have to have a subscription. So it's subscription based. So for the most part, you'll buy some of the content and you'll get to own some of the content, but you'll never get to actually own the server side stuff. So there's no license to buy. There's just either your free version or subscription. And the free version can do a lot, but you'll quickly run out of space because, oh, that's not right. You only got so much hard drive space unless you upgrade to a subscription. So it's a pain in the butt. And it's just it's to me it's cool that it's very user friendly. In fact, I would say out of the users, they probably got a lot more users than Fantasy Grounds. But I tell you what, Fantasy Grounds, even though it's an older program, they're going to be upgrading to Unity and having a whole bunch of cool features like Roll20. But right now, it's not there. But I was able to use like an 8-year-old laptop. All their laptops were old that they were using. They were all able to connect to this 8-year-old laptop, and I was able to share maps, move characters around, do all this stuff flawlessly. Where the Roll20, it was such a problem that one of the players said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going back to pen and paper, and that's it." So he's not even touching it. He also was using Hero Lab as well, because Hero Lab is pretty cool, but it's very, very cool on the iPad. It's not so cool on the desktop version. The desktop version, it's done in this weird, archaic way, and they really need to redesign the software. But Hero Lab is really great though, because you can make your character on the fly. If you miss anything, it actually shows up in red, and you know to click on that tab and fix whatever needs to be added to it. It lets you know when you're doing stuff wrong. So, I highly recommend Roll20 or Hero Lab for making characters and updating your characters. Because the cool thing about Hero Lab also is it's Dropbox friendly. So when your players can't make the game, as long as they upload that character sheet to the cloud, you have access to that character. And for the most part, when people upgrade their characters and stuff, they usually just right off the bat, they're like right at that very session, they just upload it to Dropbox and it's already updated and everything. So you don't have to worry about, oh, did so and so bring his sheet, or did he leave his character sheet behind? Do we have a current character sheet? It's a complete mess when you're actually doing it with physical paper, and it's a pain in the butt. Especially when you're like, well, did he rest? Did he use these spells? Did he not use these spells? It's because some people, track their spells on a different piece of paper and all that stuff. So it's annoying. With Hero Lab, it's all done correctly. But again, the iPad version, it actually is set up like a character sheet. So everything's, for the most part, intuitive. And I highly recommend, if you're getting Hero Lab, own an iPad, because it's just that great. But if you don't, the desktop version is doable, but it's a pain in the butt. You tend to look around for stuff sometimes. But with Fantasy Grounds, it's designed to be a all-in-one solution, mainly for remote play. So you can keep track of your characters, you can keep track of everything right in Fantasy Grounds. But a lot of my characters or a lot of my players are wanting to still roll dice and stuff like that. So they do have like external character sheets and stuff that they are using and not really messing with Roll20. But it's cool because like with Fantasy Grounds, I keep on saying Roll20, probably because Roll20 is the most famous, popular one. But with Roll20, not everybody has had a laptop at the time, and there was a lot of oh, I want to move here, and of course somebody would attempt to move it, and like they'd be like, no, I meant over there, over here. It was confusing. So now like everybody's got access to movement except for the guy that just only wants to do pen and paper. So it's pretty cool. So I don't have to worry about uh me moving the characters themselves. All the players almost have access to moving the characters if they want to move the characters. And then, of course, we actually have a version on the big screen TV. So then, if then the characters can, players can say, I just want to move right here, type of thing, and it runs smoothly, and you can do that. Unlike Roll20. Sorry about that. I'm going to have to get a drink. All right, let's move on to more Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. But man, I'm hooked now. I think this is probably the most fun I'll probably have in Dungeons and Dragons in a long time. Yeah. So where are we at here? All right, let's do that. Do that. Do that. All right. Yeah, hit the transition button. Dungeons and Dragons is bringing out the ABCs of Dungeons and Dragons. So they're bringing out I think there's ABCs and 1, 2, 3s right now. So they're bringing out children's books, so you can get like children into Dungeons and Dragons kind of early. I think that's kind of cool. So that's why I'm basically pointing it out. And it's so cool, and I think it's due to Critical Role mainly. Not that there's not other D&D podcasts or D&D shows out there on the online, but I think Critical Role is really making it be a big thing. But according to Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, Dungeons and Dragons is having its best year ever, from I guess 1975 all the way to like 2015, or yeah, 2015, 2018. I wish it was 2015 again. Jeez, Zoe. Uh, I don't, well, maybe not. That might have been a bad year. No, yeah, it's a bad year. Never mind. So basically, Dungeons and Dragons is having a huge resurgence. More and more and more people are getting to play it. I think I'm kind of curious if it's because everybody's sick and tired of where video games are heading. Not that I don't, not that there's not good video games out there, but like with the AAA games, they're just turning into a crapshoot. And I think people are looking for a better way to play some games. And I feel like Dungeons and Dragons is one of the best games ever made. Why? Because there's no limitations. Do you want to do something? Okay, do it. Roll the dice, because there's basically a dice roll for any situation that you could possibly want to do. And as long as the DM says it's A-okay, and usually it's A-okay. It's like, even if you can't, a good DM will still say you can try, but most likely you might not do it. So anyway, they're making freaking a Dungeons and Dragons children's books, and that is pretty cool, I think. I just thought that I'd point that out. This has been a long time coming, but it's the Wheel of Time. They've been trying to work on getting a TV show up and running, and even like a few years back, like at 1 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock at night or something like that, there was one Wheel of Time show that popped up on a TV channel. I forget what it was, but basically it was basically done horribly, and the only reason I think it was made is to keep the license, because basically how it works is if you don't use the license for something, it expires. So they decided to make a really crappy version and call it Wheel of Time and it was only one show. So, or one episode, I should say. So, I think you can probably find it up on YouTube if you want. But anyway, on I think it's Twitter, he's been posting it. The guy who's doing the new show, I can't remember if it's going to be on Amazon or Netflix. I want to say it's going to be on Amazon, or at least that's the goal, to put it on Amazon. He's basically been putting up little tidbits and stuff. So he recently, last week sometime, he posted a picture of the second episode script. So basically, he's already showed the first episode like little script, and then he's done a second teaser now. So we're slowly, hopefully, getting something moving, and this will be a wonderful world if we're going to get The Witcher, Wheel of Time, and if they do it well, Lord of the Rings TV shows, all around the same time. That would be pretty dang awesome, and I would be basically in heaven. So, yeah, hopefully we have finally a decent Wheel of Time TV show to look forward to. Alrighty, and on to our next lovely story. So, yeah, MoviePass had a outage last week, and the outage was due to the fact that it ran out of money. So, what I find funny is they ran out of money. They had to uh borrow, I think $5 million it was, just to get their services back up and running. And then they go ahead and advertise a movie to me like the day after that. I'm like, are you serious? You want me to go see a movie after you've basically are going out of business because you can't get enough money from all the people taking your money and going to see movies? Now, so far, I've been basically the customer that they're looking for. I have it as a subscription. I've watched maybe 2 movies per month. July, I only watched one, and it was The Lost World. Yeah, Jurassic Park, The Lost Kingdom, whatever it's called. Uh, that's the only one I watched on with Movie Pass. So basically, in July, they made money off of me. So I'm not like, one of those people is like has basically seen 40 some movies in 6 months type of thing. Uh, so I'm more the clientele that they're looking for, somebody that's not going to abuse the service, but enjoy the service when there's movies you want to see. But again, at this point, they're basically dead. Uh, they're back up and running, but even in a lot of big cities, I imagine it's big cities, because I even went on and looked for me, and I could still see some movies. But some of these places, apparently, they'll look at their movie theater that they go to, and there's basically no movies to see. What the Movie Pass is doing is they're cutting out a whole bunch of movies or time slots that you can't go see a movie. So basically, at nighttime, you're probably not going to go see a movie because it's you're paying full price and it's not matinee. And where I live, full price is not that much. It's like $10. Well, I mean, for me, I'm like $10. You out of your mind? But nonetheless, it's not like a big city where you have to get like $15 to go see a movie, and that's without popcorn or what all that crap. So those cities, I'm sure big time movie pass is like, this is what's killing us. These $15 movie tickets. So I am assuming they've cut all those types of movie theaters out when it comes to non matinee, because they've even have screenshots online where people will show that like there's no movies to be seen right now. according to MoviePass. Uh, I looked and I only seen like 3 or 4 movies, but then again, it looked like my theater was dead. There was nothing. Mission Impossible was blacked out, so at least they said it was there. You just couldn't see it. Uh, they did have a, which I don't see why it wouldn't be a bad deal. They were going to do a whole thing where it's like if you wanted to go see a movie at a certain time slot, it might be available to watch, but you might have to pay a couple bucks extra if you want to go see that movie. Which I don't see that being a big deal. But I know some people are like, well, I was supposed to, this was $10 a month, so I should be able to only have the, you know, the movie pass for $10 a month. I shouldn't have to pay a couple extra. I'm like, look, it's already a good deal. In fact, even at $20, if you could see a movie every single day, it would still be a very good deal. Granted, for myself, I would be taking more advantage of it because that's $20 out of my pocket that I would not be using it for, like, for example, July. I would have had to go see a couple movies, maybe seen Ant-Man. I don't really care to see Ant-Man, but if I was paying $20, guess what? I'd be going to see Ant-Man. So stuff like that. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sure they why that didn't work out. But I guess they're just not bringing in enough money overall. So they're basically losing money. If they had to borrow 5 million, that means they're basically already in a hole. So I would say that they are basically dead at this point. Uh, they did some weird thing where I don't know how it works. Again, I'm not a stock person, but apparently their stock was like worth pennies, and then they did something to it almost sounds like they're refinancing their house and to get more, like, get some money, but it basically bumped it up to $21, and even doing that, even within like a couple of days, it was back down to pennies again. So they're basically dead in the water, and they're just floating there, and birds and other fish are just picking at them. And it sucks because it is a cool deal, and apparently AMC has uh what you call it, a subscription service. My problem is all my local theaters are not AMC. I have to go to the next town over type of thing, which is like a half an hour, 45 minutes, and I'm just like, too far away, and all that nonsense. So hopefully, somebody can come out and create a service like this. Well, heck, all the movie theaters just do this. You'll get a lot more people in there. Uh, Again, where they make the money is the popcorn and stuff. I'm more inclined to buy popcorn if, in theory, I'm not technically paying for a movie when I go to the movie theaters. Because obviously it's going to be a subscription based thing. So it's like, yes, I may have already paid $10 or $15 that month or whatever the case may be. But because I'm not physically paying it right then and there, like, $8 for matinee, and then I go to the concession stands and then I spend another $15 there. Uh, all that combined, I feel it. I feel it more. Where if I'm paying a monthly subscription and it gets pulled out automatically, I'm not going to notice it as much. And when I go there, I'm just like, here's my little pass. I want to see this movie. Thank you very much. And then I'm like, hey, I didn't pay anything right there, even though I did. Let's go get some popcorn and stuff. So I think they need to come up with something, because I don't know if everybody's realized this, but they're taking less chances in movies now because nobody wants to go spend the money to go see a movie unless it's really awesome, or they think it's going to be really awesome. So basically, what you have is, to me anyway, there is no such thing as the summer blockbuster, because nobody wants to go see a regular movie ever. because it's a lot of money to spend. And it's like, well, will I like it or will I not? Nobody wants to go see a drama anymore. Nobody wants to see an artsy movie anymore because it's like, I want to be sure that I'm going to enjoy myself and have some fun. So there you go. You have a whole year of nothing but blockbuster movies. You got, all the comic book movies. You got uh, the Star Wars all year round. Well, you got the Marvel and DC, but you also have like Rampage and stuff like that, just all year round. Those types of movies have only been based on the summertime because that's when you want to have fun. But now you don't get to have really anything, uh, movie wise. Even comedies are kind of like there's not very many comedies as much anymore either. But the dramas and uh the artsy type films, it's like you don't see those anymore. I mean, they're there, but they make so little that it's almost pointless to even make them now. So it's kind of sad where movies are heading, but that's due to the fact of do when we go to a movie theater and we're spending this much money, what do we want to see? Usually we want something to take our mind off of our everyday thing. We don't want to go see a movie that makes us feel relatable to other things. Uh, that could be negative, such as like dramas. Dramas can be very negative, have a negative vibe on it. Uh, I still don't get why people go and see horror movies because of, to me, I get stressed out in real life, and I don't want to go to a movie theater and be stressed out because of waiting for jump scares all the time. It's like it's not fun to me. It's not that I can't watch them; it's just they're not fun to me. Uh, but anyway, I think that's where we're going to end it for today, and I will upload this on my audio and YouTube accounts. www.theopinionatedgeek.com. And then on my YouTube, it's not big enough to actually have its own personal account. But if you look up Dark Mare and the Opinionated Geek, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Anyway, I will see y'all later. And if anybody was watching, thanks, because I had my chat down. But hey, it went a lot smoother. Uh, and maybe I'll whisper if I can. I'm not sure how that works to people that might have had questions on the chat if there was any. Anyway, bye.